independent. You know it. You love it. You can't live without it. Rockland World Radio.
Dr. Ken Davis, who is joined tonight by Lisa Davis.
Good evening, all. We're on. Are we on?
You're on.
We are on. Welcome. Creating Health, Mind, Body, and Spirit. I'm Dr. Ken Davis, and it is February 24th, and we are live and excited to be back on the air. I have with me my special guest, Mrs. Lisa Davis, and who I'm excited. I figured that what better way to come back with a blast than to have Lisa on tonight.
Well, hello. I'm delighted to be back. I haven't been on in a long, long time, and just wanted to, break the ice and
literally, no pun intended tonight to break the ice.
Yeah.
So welcome. We're gonna have a very eclectic show tonight. I wanted to make this show tonight a kind of an eclectic, as I said, mix to really make it informal. There was no specific topic. We're going to talk about a bunch of things. Of course, I'll make some announcements tonight of all the things that we've been doing and what's been going on in our life. And also have Lisa talk to you about her thoughts and feelings and awarenesses certainly in the work in which she's been doing. And I also there's been a request from our practitioners and students of our new course that we've been teaching now called Innate Energetic Nutrition Assessment Technique. And Lisa is primarily one who is greatly responsible for the development of this new program that we've been teaching out west. So this is what we're going to talk about. Also, we have tonight, the chat room is open. So feel free to chat with us. I have my computer here. And
that's right. Our chat room is open tonight, and you can click on and get into the conversation or questions by clicking on the chat room button, which is located on the left-hand side of our menu bar. It says chat room, and it looks like a button, so just click on it and join the conversation. Also, telephone number here at the station for a live call-in questions would be 845-353-2910. That's 845-353-2910.
Cool.
Okay. I'd like to make some announcements as to some of the things that we're going to be doing. As I mentioned, we have launched this new program called Energetic Nutrition Assessment Technique, and I would encourage you all listening in, if you are Facebook users, to please join our Innate group on Facebook. Just go to Facebook to the Innate group and become, we're posting now all the time, interesting information, so please become a member of the group. And so we launched this program back in October, along with my partner, Greg Graham of Biotics Northwest. He is the Northwest distributor, and we've been having a blast doing it. And I leave actually for Boise, Idaho on Friday to teach it again, and then on to Spokane, Washington, and then back again for the Nutritional Therapy Association conference that I'll be a guest at, representing Innate in the Biotics booth at this nutritional conference at the end of March. And then we're going to do Innate Essentials on the East Coast in Woodcliff Lake, New Jersey. So all of this information can be found on our website. So lots going on in our life. And what have you been doing?
I'm in awe of the amount of things that you're doing. I mean, you've been all over the place.
Is that
and
right? I don't really get to
books.
see Lisa much
It's
these
like-
days. I don't think I've seen you over the last 2 years, have I?
Yeah, really.
I've just been calling from wherever I am,
Yeah.
sending you QSL cards.
Again, I think in the last 2 years, there's been a tremendous amount of research and development, and now it's kind of the birthing process of having you be out there and teaching and connecting with people, which is fantastic, and it's really beautiful, beautiful body of work. I'm really
Which you're going to
proud of
talk
it.
about a little bit
Yeah.
because you're greatly responsible for the development of it.
Uh-huh.
So we'll talk. I have had a lot of requests from our students and practitioners as to, for example, how you came up with a lot. We'll talk about that. We don't have to do that now. Of how you came up with a lot of the reflexes and points. And people are asking, when are we going to see Lisa? So here's the opportunity. Even though you're not there, you're there. And also, you've been very busy with your elemental life journey.
Yes.
Coaching system, really, really busy. So, Lisa goes into her office, so to speak, and I don't see her early in the morning and is involved with her clients, who I only hear the reports of really the transformational changes that you've been making with your
Yeah. It's
with
been
your
a great,
people.
great few
How many years have you been doing it now?
3 years.
3 years, right?
Really been doing it all my life, but on a real concerted effort. Been working at it for 3 years now, and it's been exciting. It's been a wonderful, wonderful ride, and I love the people that I'm working with, and they've had really fabulous transformations, which I think. One of the things that you and I have always looked at in people is that we see the possibilities.
Right.
And my thrill and passion is to stretch people to their possibilities. Because they don't see it. We're living our lives, we're going to work, we're cooking our food and doing the things we have to do, and we forget that there's something else. And I'm driven to help people find that something else, the other side of, and maybe the meat of life. And that's been my passion, it's been my thrill, and it's been great, absolutely fabulous. Love it. Yeah.
It's 3 years, it's hard to believe.
Yeah.
And you have very, very committed and loyal clients of yours who
Yeah.
continue to...
We're taking the journey together, which has
exactly,
been fabulous.
taking the journey.
Together, yeah.
So that's great. So you'll talk more about your feelings about things. We tell a lot of our patients and clients that we have some very interesting breakfast conversations that go on in the Davis household. We talk about a lot of different things, from owls that we hear in the morning or in the evening hooting, right, and to the conversation with our animals. We have 4 dogs. So we have a very interesting household and situation that goes on. Although, again, as I mentioned, you haven't been seeing me much these days.
Yeah, well, talk about a committed person. You have committed not only your life to what it is that you do, but at this point, it's really like the cream has risen. I think all the work that we've done and have tried to do over the years has come to the culmination of something very beautiful. And it's a wonderful thing to see you going out there and really connecting with more people and teaching out there. And it really has been a body, mind, spirit experience in every mode in which we've worked in.
Plus, what did we do this year?
What did we do this year?
After 37 years.
Oh, we moved our office.
We moved our office after 37 years of being in Ridgewood, New Jersey, which was that in itself has been a huge...
And it's been great, absolutely great.
Yeah, a huge commitment, and listening to the voice. Those of you who are listening tonight who receive, of course, our weekly email blasts, I would really encourage you. I have reposted the what we call the Attitude to Wellness series. And I made this tape, this video. There's going to be about 6 of them that you'll be receiving every week, that talks about how we can begin to listen to that voice that really has all of the answers within. It knows what we need to do. And but the thing is, if we're, and as Lisa talks about all the time, we tend to get caught up in listening to what we call this little pea brain up here, rather than listening to the inner voice that really has all the answers. It knows what it needs. It knows when it needs to. But what happens is we tend to get caught up in the mind aspect, and we also, especially when it comes to our health and our well-being, that we tend to listen to what other people, or not trust what inherently we know deeply in ourselves to do, especially when it relates to our health, or when we have a crisis situation that's going on, which in a sense tends to be more difficult at that point. So in the Attitude to Wellness series, it begins the journey of trusting the heart and the voice of it to be able to listen to what is there already that you can talk to give you the answer.
Well, I think that what happens is that, we create separation in life. And years ago when I got writing, it said, do what you do until there is no separation. And I don't think I really understood what that meant until maybe even this year of my life. And is that we divide our things up, our spirituality, our growth, our physical health, into different aspects of our day. And, as I tell my clients, there's 168 hours in the week. And, a lot of it some of it we spend sleeping, then we're eating and going to work. And then there's this little bit of time that we spend on our growth and awareness part, the part that is supposed to seek and look at our full potential. And so who's going to win out? Who's going to win out? The other part wins out, because we don't really integrate it into all of who I am. And that's what we want to start to integrate, that thread of awareness and growing into everything that I do, so that there is no separation, that it's not just a compartment of my life. And that's what I try to teach people to do. It's about the ever-present moment, to be able to embody it, and not to separate it as much. And I realized, even though I understood the concept, I realized that there's no separation between you and me, and Ken and I, and us in nature, and another human being. And that continuum of energy is what to strive for in our stretching.
Can you press that button on the computer?
This one?
No.
We're having a technical
breakdown. I think the computer in the chat room
went down.
May have gone down a little bit. Maybe. Is that what happened?
Is it? Oh, no, it just went to sleep.
Went to sleep.
Okay.
So if it goes to sleep, we need to press that button there on the
Okay,
left.
great.
Is that
So,
correct? Why don't you tell the audience, Lisa, a little bit about I know you've been recommending that documentary tape called I Am.
It's funny. I'm not a big TV watcher, and my sister was telling me to get Netflix, and I'm like, well, I have satellite, we have, cable at our other house, and I thought, what do I need Netflix for? But I got it. And so, I'm looking through all the movies, and they're great movies, but I'm thinking they're just more movies. So I started to look at the documentaries, and there were some fabulous, fabulous documentaries. And there was one I came across, it was I Am. And I would recommend it to anybody to watch. And without me telling you the story, it's something, an awareness that Ken and I have had all of our life, but it's a way in which an experience of a man really causes him to search and find the truth of his own truth, and also to seek really very knowledgeable people of the world to share that knowledge. It's absolutely fantastic. So it was on Netflix, documentary, I Am. Fabulous.
I Am.
Yes.
Yep. Very fabulous.
Yeah.
It'll change the way you think about things at the end of it. It's only about an hour and 15 minute.
Yeah, something like that. Really
it's
great.
not a. It's
Right.
not a long. So I was going to mention that. What do you do when you're? What's the major thing that you tell your clients? Because you were mentioning about being present and being in the moment. You know, because it's so difficult for most people to be that way, right? So what do you tell them to do when they ask you that? Well, how do I be in the moment, or how do I come out of my head, or what do you tell them to do?
Something that you and I know is that people are either in the past, from this second, from our inception, and in reaction to it, or from this moment on into the future, and which doesn't even exist. And so the kind of way of the spiritual warrior is to be present, and that's this kind of fine line where the carpet meets, that we go from past to present, never realizing we're really not present very often. You know, you drive to work sort of asleep, we get married in our sleep, we have our babies in our sleep, we're thinking somewhere else. We are not aware of everything, and so initially you have to become aware of that my mind has the ability to dwell in other places. So through that, you have to be able to use your mind constructively to learn to be aware, become a great observer. Everybody's a good observer about everybody else and what they're doing and what they're not, and how they can improve it. But it's the art of doing that for yourself and to really embody that presence. And for me, the greatest teacher is nature, because to be able to embody and to experience it in it is a wonderful thing. You know, out here in the East Coast, it's been snowing every few days, and it's what is, and it's beautiful, and it's cold, and it's wonderful, and it's refreshing, and to experience it, not to only hope for spring. And these are the first things that we live in a world that's alive. And for me, and as far as the way that I teach, people have to realize that they're alive. They're not separated from life, that they are part of it in their journey to waking up.
So just go back to the thing. So it's kind of like people have to. It's almost like becoming aware that you're not aware is the beginning of being in the moment. Is what you're saying.
You have to be aware of it first. I mean, you know,
aware of what? Aware of that you're not present.
That you're not present, right? I mean, there's many people want some magic pill to make them wake up or become spiritual or become a master of something.
Yeah, do you have one of those pills?
Yeah, really, I wish I did. But there is not. It is a conscious effort to change how I do what I do, and it's work. It's work that you have to do every day, and that's why they call it practice, that you have to practice it every day. And I'm no better today. I'm only as good as I am right now. I'm not it. We're never really it. We can't say, well, I'm it, because tomorrow or any moment I can do something else that would change the outcome of that. So that's the being present part, that I'm become a better observer, that even to the point of my senses, you know, we're given these incredible senses of smell and sight and hearing and taste and sensation, and then more ethereal sensation. And it's starting to, we utilize them in primitive man to survive, you know, to be able to run away or fight something, to be aware of how I was supposed to live. But a lot of those things we don't need so much anymore, and they're becoming atrophied. And we're becoming numb to our surroundings, numb to the influx of information that comes in.
Oh, so meaning that you're saying that we still need them.
We need them, and this is what I'm saying. The natural part of us needs to become more tuned to nature. That is part of who I am, and it's very, very important. You can't do it without going through this kind of undressing of yourself.
Right.
And I tell people that if you've ever made a garden. It's a lot of work, even if you make a small garden, and you can't just cast seed out on the ground. You can't; it just won't grow. So you have to take a shovel and a pickaxe, and you start going at the earth, and it's hard and it's rocky, and there's all this stuff in there, and you break it up and turn it over and again, and you add stuff to it, and then you're preparing this place for the seed to go in. And people need to do that work where you prepare the soil, which is my spirit, to awaken, and I need to do work to do that.
And then you have to water it.
Right, because we're really a sum total of our belief systems, what people have told us, what we inherited, what we've adopted, and we live by these rules that may not really exist. That at some point we can really adopt new belief systems, and over time we choose to evolve. It's an evolvement. It happens over a period of time. Mm-hmm. And that's the incredible part of what I'm able to do with people, that journey that they see in time, that it's no magic step. It's not one weekend seminar. It is a process that they have chosen to go on to change that part.
So you're really acting as their guide to get them, to realize their full potential.
I wouldn't say I'm a guide. I'm because they're going on this journey. I can't really go on the journey with them.
Keep talking. Excuse me all. I'm just going to move this to this side. Keep going. Okay, that's better.
I am the person that encourages them to move forward, to keep on going, to not lose hope, to be patient. And more than anything, it's about having the understanding that we stretch, and we're always growing. That, we go to school from preschool through college, and, as if that was all I needed to learn in life, And so we then take that knowledge and we go get a job, or we get married, have children, and we move on. And sometimes we don't learn too much more. We don't ask to learn more. We don't push the envelope. And that's where, you get to be 35, 40 years old, and you feel a sense of discontent. I got everything I was looking for, and I'm not happy. So it's that part of waking up and realizing it's because of something else. It's something else that drives me. And we all have it. And it's a voice without a voice I have to learn to listen to. And it's learning that feeling. And you've all had it. The feeling like, I don't know why I feel that way, or I can't, but I'm going to go in that direction, and it works out right. But when our mind starts to fulfill, I can't because no one believes in me, or I'll never have the money, we never journey very far.
How do you get through that? How do you?
Well, it's that the awareness that my mind is telling me that I can't, and that's just a story that, and that we as humans have yet to reach our full breadth, as far as I'm concerned. I tell people, and everybody knows the difference between an acorn and an oak tree. There's and on our farm we have a massive oak tree. It must be hundreds of years old, but there are not many of them. There's one huge oak tree like that, and that's the full possibility of something to grow. And if you even had the understanding that what is my full possibility of growing, it's not a concept that we think about. So it's to encourage you to think that there's something more, that I can stretch a little more past my comfort zone,
So
all
Olivia
the time.
says it takes courage.
It takes a lot of courage, you're right. And that's absolutely it. So I was in Bedford, New York, a couple months ago, driving around. I had never been to Bedford, and I got lost with my son, and I stopped at a corner as we were trying to use our navigation, and I looked to the left, and there was this enormous, enormous oak tree. I mean, it was just massive. And I got out of the car, and I went across the street. Little did I know that there was going to be a plaque in front of the tree saying that it was there, hundreds of years. And, at least to the 1700s, but further. I had read in other articles 500 years old.
Right.
So it was just gorgeous because I thought, my gosh, this came from an acorn. This particular one is stretching and stretching every year as long as it's alive, a little more, another 6 inches, another 6 inches, another 6 inches to get to this massive thing that takes up an enormous field. And so what I encourage people to do is to know that it's these little aspects of our growth and awareness every year that we consciously move out further, and to realize that we have this possibility, and everybody's got it, to be able to strive for it. But it doesn't happen without this conscious effort to do it. You have to try.
Okay, I'm going to start tomorrow. Start trying.
Yeah.
Why don't you also, those that may be listening to us or to you, or come into your sphere of influence, a little bit about your history and...
My history? I've been with you my whole life.
About your, your gifts and abilities that have been developed in you, and how that works.
How that works. It's not something I really like to talk about, but I will talk about it if you want.
Well, unless you want me to talk about it first.
I mean,
meaning going back to your childhood.
Right.
I
I believe that as human beings we have this incredible potential. I just do. And that it is a way of resonating closer to that perfection that we already are. The soul spirit self is already perfect, without disease and without judgment and without all this stuff. And that veil called our life, this is my belief system, that, distracts us from that, is what we're trying to move through. And I believe on my spiritual level that I consciously are trying to move my vibration to a higher level, so that I can hear it, sort of. And what happened to me as a girl, I was not searching for it to happen to me. And I know that there's people that are sensitive, but the difference is that, and it's again an analogy I use. If someone said, "Hey, I'm sending a baby grand piano to your house today as a gift," and in your living room you have a baby grand piano. Wow, that's awesome.
Right.
Doesn't mean you know how to play. It means you own it, but you don't know how to play. And so that part of having a gift really doesn't mean very much to me, unless you are willing to do what it takes, the rigors of the practice, to move toward doing the chopsticks, moving up and realizing that my full potential is as much as I put into it. So even the most gifted person needs to work at it to expand their consciousness to match the equipment.
To utilize all its full potential of it.
Yes. So, I
Which
have
takes
many,
time,
many,
which takes time.
many, I would say hundreds of people in the 38 years of working have told me that they're sensitive, and that they hear things or feel
talk
things
about
or
that a
know
little bit.
about other people, and I can appreciate that. Excuse me. But the fact is that we really need to discover that in ourselves before we start doing it in other people. We have to break that soil up in that garden consciously to do that, to that willingness to examine myself, to observe myself, to live a certain way, to follow what it is that I believe, to embody what it is and practice it every day. The best you. Some days you're not so good, but then I ask for a lot of help. So it's a journey, and it takes a lot of work to do that. So it's really that self-examination and growing and pushing and the envelope.
So we understand, but you're still not, you need to go.
What is it that you'd like me to answer?
So what happened?
Oh, with me. And my story I don't think is that interesting, but I think,
yes, it
I
is.
think
I
the
think
story is interesting
I-
about what our potential is. So, at some point that happened to me when, when I worked for you. And
No, before that, I mean, of how, especially it becomes very apparent early on in life that we have this sensitivity or whatever, and
Yeah.
then it's not so fixed, meaning that when we're young, the drive within us, and sometimes we don't know why, we feel a certain way.
Well, I think that we can ignore it. We could really ignore it and be afraid of it and not develop it. And I wasn't necessarily developed. I was just kind of raw and sensitive and resonated sort of a certain way. But then I had to go on that journey and develop that, and that took.
Well, also it's very important. A lot of times you also had a teacher and a mentor too that helped you.
Absolutely. But no matter what teacher you have or what mentor you have, you still have to do that.
You have to
and
do
the
the
same
work.
with my clients. I cannot make them change, and I cannot make them grow or do it for them. They have to be willing to get through those dark nights. They have to be willing to be uncomfortable. They have to be able to be patient, and that comes from within themselves. That's why not that many people get to the, they can't do it.
You mean they give up?
They give up.
Or they go on to something else?
Yeah, and then it just becomes uncomfortable, I think.
It's like playing the organ.
Yeah.
Well, it is. It's like
Yeah.
playing the organ, meaning that, you go out there, those who've been following us and know that I've been playing Hammond B3 jazz organ for now, God. And I have a little converted barn in our backyard where I have the organ, and I go out there, as Lisa knows, by myself. And I take, I travel to Brooklyn several times a month, and now I Skype with my teacher. So I'm out there alone. It's the same thing. It's easy not to go out there.
Very,
Very easy not to go out there by yourself. To play, especially as you go deeper into the journey, obviously it becomes, you're not playing chopsticks anymore, you're moving into deeper territory. So that's why my journey with the playing music, especially as an older person, is very parallel to the journey of growth and awareness.
absolutely.
And
because you have to hear it. You got to see it. When your teacher tells you to do something and he says, he has to be willing to have you have observations. Nate does that with you. You know?
I was going to say this. What was very interesting the last several times we've had our lesson is that, and he's a phenomenal teacher, my teacher, Nate Shaw, who says that you go out there, and it's similar to what you're saying, you are practicing there for your later performance.
Mm-hmm.
So the same analogy would be, we're utilizing the abilities that we have and practicing it for the performance of life, the performance of how we relate to people, how we live our life, how we, and that's where all of our practices of introspection and awareness is really
because people
part of
do
the.
something and they get bored with it, and they do it for a little while, and then they don't see an outcome, so they don't feel that it has any power. And the power is in your duration of what it is that you do.
We talk about it all the time. So why do why does it seem that there's just is it just our predestination, our makeup that takes those people that stay in that thick, and then there's so many that just give up and they don't You know what I mean? They
well,
don't carry it forth.
I think one of the things is that as a culture, we don't develop it early. And I don't think it's part of our makeup in a culture. So we're very concerned that we're successful and we go to good schools and which is all important, but the very essence of our lessons of learning of life to who I am is not being taught. That's why we have a lot of dysfunction going on as a culture where we kind of feel lost and disconnected from things because that's how we've taught. We're separate. And but this is what needs to come back, that there is no separation, that I need to connect with life and to the life of myself. And it's powerful, but it is something that it takes really a lot. I have also one of the requirements I have with my clients is that I ask that they take time to just be. And that, we don't have enough time in the day to just be. And what does that mean? Just to contemplate. Doesn't mean to have to be heavy in thought, but in observations. Look out a window. Look at the sky. Look how the snow hits the light hits the snow. It's just to be in thought. And it's when we are able to start to hear our thoughts. Mm-hmm. And I don't think we do hear our thoughts to be, and then there's an emotion and feeling that goes with that. And I think that it's just the raw part of just being,
Well, isn't it true that, we hear our thoughts, but then all of a sudden the mind enters into it and then starts to
chatter and makes a judgment
or
separation. And why could I? Why shouldn't it? Why did they? Blah, 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 blah. And we're not aware of that language. But one thing I've noticed with my clients that I've been with a while now, they're like, oh, I heard myself. And usually the things that you really do hear it before. It starts to creep up on you. And they're starting to hear it like, oh, I caught myself, And because to the truth of the matter is you can hear what you're going to say a microsecond before you say it. And what you would say in an office wouldn't necessarily be what you would say to someone else if you were mad, like at home. It would just, you wouldn't allow it. You would know, I'm not going there. But it's the same thing. It's that reining in. Okay, I'm aware. I'm not going to let my mind just go. I'm going to rein it in, and that takes work.
It's like it unclutters. See, it has to unclutter before you can hear it, right?
Right, but you have to be willing to stop. And, that 168 hours, the same amount of hours that great minds had to do what they did. Mm-hmm. The Da Vinci's and the Michelangelos and the Einsteins. And they didn't have all this technology, which is supposed to make our life so much easier. But what they had, which we do not have, is quiet.
Right, they have more quiet time.
Yeah. You don't have quiet. Quiet's really important. Yeah. To develop that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
So you start to hear, because there's like all this influx of information and chatter and noise going on that you don't realize until you're really in somewhere quiet. Have you ever been out at the ocean or on a mountain and just don't hear anything but the wind on your ears and just beautiful? I mean, it's just not just like clean it out, and you can be quiet in the city, but it's just learning how to find. Well,
you can be quiet anywhere. I mean, you can be quiet working on people, right? That's what we do.
Yeah. And that really, the quiet has to do with being present. The more present you are, the more quiet you can be, no matter what, because you can be in thought.
Well, it's so difficult for most, again, as we've been saying here the last half hour, that, people also, especially in the work environment, that people bring all their stuff in from outside into
But we need to teach our children. I mean, it really comes down to, starting early so that your kids can just sit under a tree and look at leaves. I mean, we don't do that. We have to sit under a tree and have an iPad with us or something. So this part of being able to just be still, especially in nature, is very the quickest way to get you to the source, I think, at least. Right?
Yeah, I'm just reading Olivia in the chat room's comment. You guys out there, feel free to call us live on the phone as well. as well as in the chat room. Feel free. We're here. We'd love to talk to you, especially I know Lisa would.
And the telephone number again is 845-353-2910. That's 845-353-2910.
What else would you like to say?
Well, I mean, this is our modern dilemma, I feel. And I feel passionately about it. You know, there are not a lot of topics really that get to what the source really is about. And a lot of people want to be healers, a lot of people want to be in the health profession, but you really have to do your own, you got to do
Why
the
do you
work.
think that?
Well,
What are they looking for?
I think that people want to help people, but they don't realize that you got to help yourself first. You have to do that work on yourself. You have to respect yourself enough to do that, to love yourself enough to spend that time on you. And this is what a lot of people want to do it for other people, want to do it for your family. I'm there for everybody else, and then I don't really do the work for myself. And we're here for a reason, and that we have to honor that, my individuality.
Also, too, I just want to mention, from our own personal, those of you who are listening, first of all, none of us are really healers at all. I mean, we just primarily are conduits. We're, what's the analogy used? With the wire to the electrical?
Yeah, you have the outlet where the electricity comes in, and then there's the cord, and then there's the light bulb, and we're the cord.
Yeah, we're just a cord.
And the goal is to allow yourself to be without any kinks in it, so to be free of that, to getting involved, to allow yourself to be that a vessel to do that. And what I see, back in 1978 or whatever it was that we were working, back in the day, there weren't a lot of healers, people doing, 77, doing a lot of healing work. It was odd. There weren't really many health food stores back then. They were very primitive. And so then there was this whole kind of wellness revolution that's happened.
What you should do is you should tell them what the doctor said today. You had your yearly checkup, and he said Ken was really, we know him for how many, what did he say?
It's the first person I heard that, was in a holistic, I said, well, we've been doing what we're doing 38 years now. And so, it went, my feeling is that it went from the first time where people had the opportunity to be involved themselves in their outcome of their health, just from the thing of hypoglycemia was a big thing back then. Candida, and let's stop eating sugar. It was like it was big news, and so now that people are really participating in one way. Because there's Whole Foods and there are all these things, and everybody's doing yoga or whatever. But suddenly, it's funny because it's become, to me, very homogenized.
Yeah, I was
that the whole real essence of what it's about is watered down, and so that you can go to many, many places, do many, many things, but no one really lives it really the way that the intention was. So. And they're not getting the outcome that they're really looking for. They're as frustrated as the people that are trying to do it. So that this part of igniting that change inside on a very deep level.
Yeah, I was going to say, we were talking, on the email that I sent out to all, I was mentioning, I always try and share a little personal experience that I had, and this past weekend on Friday was the big integrative health symposium at the New York Hilton Hotel. And when I started out, as Lisa was saying, there was only a handful of, nutritional companies. Mm-hmm. And when I was there, I primarily went through the vendor area, and there must have been 250 different nutritional companies there.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Oh, it was incredible. But it was it was really so confusing in a way to for the average person to know what. The point I'm making is that there's a tremendous amount of focus
on the physical
on
body.
the physical body.
Well, this is what I tell my clients. I said, if I told you to eat better, or Ken told you to eat better, and you went, oh, okay, I'll go gluten-free, and I'll go sugar-free, and I'll remove coffee, or whatever it might be, and you went to Whole Foods and you went organic, that would be a physical thing. You have to eat every day, so that would be kind of a very clear thing. But every day, your body needs food, your mind needs to be fed, and your spirit needs to be fed. And they maybe I'll go to church on Sunday, or maybe I'll pray some of the time, or and maybe I'll really develop the capacity of my thought and my mind. But it needs that, and the mind needs to be enriched and needs art and beautiful music, intelligent conversation and literature, and to be really embody something great, to expand. Oh, I didn't know that, to learn something new. And the spirit needs to have quiet, number one. Right. It needs to be introspective. And it needs to be able to, it's the concept of thought, to be involved in my growth is it needs to be.
Yeah, one of the things I was going to say, which we've talked about on other shows, is, the book by, one of the things that I learned early on that was established by our founding fathers of the chiropractic profession, which is, was that what can be a food to one can be a poison to another. So, yes, diet, food is important, but, we've talked about, I was going to say that we talked about in a previous show going back, the book Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell, if you haven't read it. And there's a chapter there where he talks about, and this is going along with what you're saying, of how there was a group, a generation that came over from Italy, a certain area, and they settled into an area of Pennsylvania. And this group, they did a study, and they had very, very low incidence of cancer and heart disease and degenerative illness. And although they ate lard, they smoked, and so on and so on, things that today where the other groups around them had a high incidence of degenerative disease, cancer, heart disease, and so on. And they couldn't really, so the researchers and investigators could not figure out what it was that was doing the job. So what they found after all was that in this community, there was community, meaning that when they came home, they would sit on each other's porch, they would communicate.
Well, how it started was they were Masons, I believe.
Yeah.
And they initially came from Italy as a family, and then more came, cousins came, and family. And they made a town based on this community from Italy to here, and they all kind of raised the children together.
Yeah. So rather than going, they would sit on the porch, they would talk, they would communicate. And that
made their life
rich. Which was way beyond really, that we think it's just always the food that's going to be the answer. Or remember what Lisa and I also have taught and continue to, the model that, as she's saying, you have to feed. Yes, we have no problem feeding that body every day. Right. We really don't.
But the funny thing is, as we've grown with this whole nutrition, whole age, that there is much more disease, and it's not just about diet. I mean, it just proves to show you that you can have people do all this diet. It really helps a lot, but unless the other parts follow through, that you're not going to have that whole component. It's like fixing one of the wheels of your car. So the story of and the Outliers was fascinating because it really was about community. The other day we were watching CNN News for a moment, and Dr. Sanjay Gupta was on, and what you had come in to tell me that one of the number one causes of death was
the number
loneliness.
54%. It was actually number one, I believe, of what causes early death is loneliness. Above everything else.
Right. Not to be just lonely in life, which is
Loneliness.
okay to be alone, but this a deep loneliness. And it was fascinating. And what they were trying to make a movement, I think Oprah or somebody was trying to make a movement where you just say hello.
Hello.
The hello movement, where you just say hello to people. I thought that was awesome. Because I do that, I talk to the guy at the toll booth. I don't have Easy Pass. I talk to the kids at the grocery store. I see that they have name tags on, and I call them by their name, and see how they're doing. And I always love to catch a person that's walking through a store or down the street that's looking down and walking, and I try to catch their eye and smile. And you see that they'll turn and smile. And
Right.
I think that's the power. We have power in our ability to love and connect, and to realize you're not alone.
Also, I want to say one of the things that one of the techniques, if you would call it, in our work is, which I've talked about on the show, called the joy point. The point is, when you test this, see, we don't have enough inner joy. Mm-hmm. Within ourselves. We have joy, says, I have joy because of my children and this and that, but when it comes to our own personal joy, which goes back to what you said, waking up in the morning or feeling this passion to go and do what we're driven to do.
Right.
Not enough of us, really a high percentage, do not have inner joy. And that leads to breakdown and imbalance in not only in our body, but in our mind and our spiritual well-being as well. Mm-hmm. Which, am I correct by saying that we're running low on time, correct?
We're running low on time?
Yeah.
8:56.
That's what I thought. So we only have... in the remaining time that we have left... so Lisa, why don't you tell people, if people wanted to do some work with you, what would you need to do? How do they get in touch with you?
I have a website at elementallife.com.
Lifejourney.com.
What did I say?
Elemental Life.
Elemental Journey Life.
No. I'm going to handle this one.
ElementalLifeJourney.com.
I'm going to handle this one for her. ElementalLifeJourney.com. Or they can email you at...
That's my dyslexia that just...
Is that what it is?
Came right in.
What's your email address?
My email is lv.davis@aol.com.
lv.davis@aol.com.
Yeah. And, I'd love to go on a journey with you.
Also, you guys that are listening out there, if you'd like Lisa, I'd like to have Lisa come on the show. Actually, I'm going to be away the next few weeks teaching, but Lisa will be here. So those of you that would like to hear Lisa more, I'm going to ask you to send me an email at Lisa's address, lv.davis. What is it again?
lv.davis@aol.com.
Just shows you that
we are not techie people.
Just shows you that this show is not rehearsed. lv.davis, what is it?
At aol.com.
Oh, at aol.com. Or you can send it to info at Davis, Davis, ahs.com. And please also go and check out our website. We have a lot of information on there about our work, about what we do, which is www.Davis Advanced Health System. And this is who we are, right? And this is what we love to do. And maybe we'll have a show one of these days called Breakfast with the Davises. We'll have to come in early in the morning, Rich.
That would be pretty early out west, I'll say that.
Yes, it would be very early. So we have about a minute to go. Closing insight.
And in whatever it is that you do, to try to enjoy it, to be
And
passionate
do it to the best
about
of
it.
your ability,
Do
right?
it to the best of your ability, and try to find joy. Try to find the good things. You know, we are so easy at tearing ourselves down, other people, our society, whatever it is, to try to find something great in every day. You know, what was great today? And to realize that we are not unlike an acorn and an oak tree, a big oak tree, and that with this full possibility, and to grow to that, you know, to grow to your every day a little bit, and you know, and not to say, well, I didn't do it yet, I'm too old. Just you start today, you know, to stretch a little bit outside of your comfort
Start
zone.
playing those music lessons.
That's right. Don't
Now-
just say I own a piano. Start playing the piano.
Right, play
Start stretching yourself. That would be my
And be nice to
advice.
yourself, and be conscious and aware of what you talk to yourself about every day.
Right.
Feed yourself positive statements.
That's right. Love, 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 love.
Love, love, love. So we're gonna sign off. It's really been great. Thank you for coming on tonight. I may have you
My
back.
pleasure.
I may have you back, and
My sincere pleasure.
we look forward to seeing you on the radio again. So
Yes.
have a good night and a
Good
good
night.
week, and be safe.
Good night.
Good night.
I'm independent. You know it. You love it. You can't live without it. Rockland World Radio.